Hey, welcome to the book club. Here, we'll be discussing about books in a way that you'll be able to practice English and learn much more than the language itself. So, the first book we'll be talking about is The Mountain is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. And this is just the introduction. We're not going to cover none of the chapters in this video, but we'll be doing the introduction. Every book has a introduction section in the beginning, and that's what we'll be doing. So let's go. I will read and you can follow along with me, and we'll have a discussion about each one of those videos in a weekly basis to cover, to talk about it, and to see the insights we've gotten, individually, from the book, and hopefully build something together that will help all of us. So let's do it. Much like nature, life is very often working in our favor. Even when it seems like we're only being faced with adversity, discomfort, and change. And forest fires are essential to the ecology of the environment, opening new seeds that require heat to sprout and rebuild the population of trees. Our minds also go through periodic episodes of positive disintegration, or a cleansing through which we release and renew our self-concept. We know that nature is most fertile and expansive as its permanence, where climates meet, and we also transform when we reach our edges states. The points at which we're forced to step out of the comfort zone and regroup. When we can no longer rely on our coping mechanism to help distract us from the problem in our lives, it can feel as though we've hit rock bottom. The reality is that this sort of awakening is what happens when we finally come to terms with the problems that have existed for a long time. The breakdown is just one hold on. All right, so the breakdown is often just the tipping point that precedes the breakthrough. The moment a star implodes before it becomes a supernova. Just as the mountain is formed when two sections of ground are forced against one another, the mountain will arise out of coexisting but conflicting needs. Your mountain requires you to reconcile two parts of you, the conscious and the unconscious. The part of you that's aware of what you want, and the part of you that's not aware of why you're still holding yourself back. Historically, mountains have been used as metaphors for spiritual awakenings, journeys of personal growth, and of course, insurmountable challenges that seem impossible to overcome when we're standing at the bottom. Like so much of nature, mountains provide us with an inherent wisdom about what it will take to rise up to our highest potential. The objective of being human is to grow. We see this reflect back to us in part in every part of life. Species reproduce, DNA evolves to eliminate certain strains and develop new ones. And the edges of the universe are expanding forever outward. Likewise, our ability to feel the depth and beauty of life is capable of expanding forever inwards if we are willing to take our problems and see them as catalysts. Forests needs Forests need fire to do this. Volcanoes need implosions. Stars need collapse. And human beings often need to be faced with no other option but to change before they really do. To have a mountain in front of you does not mean you're fundamentally broken in some way. Everything in nature is imperfect, and it's because of that imperfection that growth is possible. In everything existed in uniformity. The gravity that created the stars and planets and everything that we know would not exist. Without breaks, faults, and gaps, nothing could grow and nothing would become. The fact that you are imperfect is not a sign that you have failed. It is a sign that you are human. And more importantly, it is a sign that you are still have more potential within you. Maybe you know what your mountain is. Maybe it's addiction, weight, relationships, jobs, motivation, or money. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's a vague sense of anxiety, low self esteem, fear, or a general discontentment that seems to bleed out onto everything else. The mountain is often less a challenge in front of us as it is a problem within us. An unstable foundation that might not seem evident on the surface, but is nonetheless shifting almost every part of our lives. Usually, when we have a problem that's circumstantial, we're facing the reality of life. When we have a problem that's chronic, we're facing the reality of ourselves. We often think that to face a mountain means to face life's hardship. But the truth is that it is almost always because of the years we have spent accumulating tiny traumas, adaptations, and coping mechanisms, all of which have compounded over time. Over time. Your mountain is the block between you and the life you want to live. Facing it is also the only path to your freedom and becoming. You're here because a trigger showed you to your wound, and your wound will show you to your path, and your path will show you to your destiny. When you arrive at this breaking point, the foot of the mountain, the heat of the fire, the night of the finally awakes you. You are at the crux of your breakdown, and if you are willing to do the work, you will find that it's the entryway to the breakthrough you have spent your entire life waiting for. Your old self can no longer sustain the life you're trying to lead. It's a time for reinventation and rebirth. You must release your old self into the fire of your vision and be willing to think in a way you have never even tried. even tried before. You must mourn the loss of your younger self, the person who has gotten you this far, but who is no longer equipped to carry you onwards. You must envision and become one with your future self, the hero of your life that's going to lead you from here. The task in front of you is silent, simple, and monumental. It is a feat most do not ever get to the point of attempting. You must know, you must now learn agility, resilience, and self understanding. You must change completely, never to be the same again. Same again. The mountain that stands in front of you is the calling of your life, your purpose of for being here, and your path finally made clear. One day, this mountain will be behind you, but who? One day, this mountain will be behind you. But who you become in the process of getting over it will stay with you always. In the end, it's not the mountain that you must master, but yourself. Got it? All right, so that's the introduction. And then we're going to cover in the next video, chapter 1, The Mountain is You. And this video is being recorded for the first class of the book club ever. So it's a kind of a new project. I've attempted to do it once a couple years ago. It was not very successfully because of the format we're trying to have. But the idea is, I think, really good. But you can tell me your opinion. What do you think about it? Because the goal is to help you to become your better self, your best version, through what English has to offer. If you liked this content, please let me know. And thank you so much for joining the first class of the book club.